This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. The United States is working to create conditions to allow Armenia to continue pulling out of Russia's orbit, a senior State Department official has indicated. Speaking at a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing yesterday, Assistant Secretary of State James O'Brien said Russia's failure to live up to its security commitments to Armenia since the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war has, quote, led to a severe break where much of the population of Armenia wants to get further from Russia, so we're creating the conditions for that to happen. To that end, O'Brien urged senators to make it possible for Armenia to make the brave steps that Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan is leading them on, which is a break with Russia. Continuing, O'Brien also reiterated Washington's strong support for ongoing, though largely stalled, efforts by Armenia and Azerbaijan to reach a normalization deal, while also warning that Russia is working behind the scenes to ensure that any future peace agreement is to the Kremlin's benefit. Russia is trying to make sure that anything that happens there happens on its terms, and I think both Armenia and Azerbaijan are a bit frustrated by Russia's involvement, O'Brien claimed. There was no immediate response from Yerevan, Baku, or Moscow. In other news, Politico reported yesterday that the European Union is now renewing efforts to mediate a normalization deal, with two unnamed senior diplomats telling the news organization that European Council President Charles Michel has personally urged Armenia and Azerbaijan to come back to the negotiating table. Frustration has been growing in Brussels after months of delays and diplomatic deadlock, Politico reported. CivilNet has not independently confirmed that news. Meanwhile, the bloc's special representative to the region has said he welcomes yesterday's latest round of talks between Armenia and Turkey. Normalization of relations and the reopening of communications between Turkey and Armenia are essential elements for a more stable and prosperous South Caucasus, Toivo Klar wrote today in a post on the social platform X. Meeting yesterday for the first time in 2 years, special envoys from Yerevan and Ankara reaffirmed their commitment to partially reopening their country's border and fully normalizing relations, though without providing any time frame. The diplomats reached a landmark deal in July 2022 to open the border to citizens of third countries and holders of diplomatic passports at the earliest possible date. But more than 2 years on, that agreement still exists only on paper and the border remains closed. You can also check out all of CivilNet's latest English language coverage. This week, our reporter sat down with Lilit Melikyan, the director of the Yerevan-based Deryan Cultural Center, to learn about how Armenian designers are updating traditional dresses in an effort to preserve cultural heritage, as well as with Artur Ispiryan, director of archives at Armenian Public Radio, to talk about efforts to catalog and digitize a century's worth of physical recordings from Armenia's jazz golden age. We also have a new dispatch out from India exploring the history and lives of the Armenians of Calcutta, who form one of the oldest Armenian diaspora communities in the world. You can find all of those stories up now on civilnet.am or through the links in the video description below. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 92. That's the weight category of David Chaloyan, Armenia's lone boxer at the Paris Summer Olympics. Earlier this week, Chaloyan defeated the United Kingdom's Delicious Ori in a stunning upset during the first qualifying round, and will face Spain's Ayub Gadfa in the quarterfinals tomorrow. And, as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.